So in this meditation, we're going to be working with sight, with seeing. Now, just a few logistical points. It's good to have a wide open space in front of you, so don't be sitting looking at a wall. It's not very conducive for this meditation. Sit with your back to a wall so that you're seeing most of the room that you're in. And you can also bring in some of your own sights, objects. You might even have the television on, preferably on silent, so that you're not getting taken away by the story, by the sounds. Just as we brought in music for the sound meditation, you can bring in things to look at. So it's up to you to get creative with that. Let's get into the posture. So we're stretching up gently through the spine, head slightly tilted forward, shoulders low and loose, face is loose, arms and hands nice and loose, and relaxing into the posture, not straining. So I'd like you to have your eyes open for this meditation, and you don't have to keep your eyes fixed on a certain object. You can move your eyes around. In fact, I would encourage you to move your eyes around. The idea here is that we're going to, when we realize that we're seeing something, we're going to bring that object or part of the visual field, that area in the visual field, to the forefront of our attention. We're going to label it C mentally, and then we're going to pour our attention into it. So it's like the sound meditation, very similar, except we're working with sights. And in the stage where you are pouring your attention into it, you're trying to detect things like the size, the shape, the colours, light and shadow. Trying to see as clearly as possible the object that you're looking at, or the area of the visual field. It might be several objects at once. It might be part of an object. If you're letting your gaze move around, stick with one object or one area of the visual field for a few seconds, then you can run another cycle or you can look elsewhere. what you'll quickly notice is that you're commenting on what you're seeing. What happens is that this takes you away from the raw experience of seeing. So just notice that. You don't have to stamp it out. It's just how the mind works. The categorizing mind. Just watch it and pour your attention into the sight itself. Really trying to detect details, remember. And you should find the more you pay attention, the more you can see. The richer the sight becomes, the object. You can also detect movement. You might have quite a still scene in front of you, in which case there might not be much movement. If that's the case, really absorb yourself into the stillness. It's a very good practice. Another little tip is to try to isolate the sight from everything else. So, of course, you're still experiencing the body, the mind, sounds around you, etc., other sensory input. When you're running a cycle on a particular object, particular area in the visual field, trying to really isolate the sight, soak into the sight. as humans, we have a tendency called habituation. And this is basically when, if we're exposed to something repetitively, we slowly start to see that thing as insignificant, or we start to take it for granted. And it's not as fresh as it was. This has good consequences, also has the consequence that we stop seeing things in their original richness. And this practice is a way to bring that back. Working with sight is a great practice because as long as you have your eyes open, there's always input, visual input, and you can work with that in this way, meditatively, with mindfulness, with attention. It's great when you're out and about. It's great when you're in nature, even when you're with other people. So experiment with that. And see this work here as your training, as your basic training to take it out into the world. A subtle trap here is when you're perceiving, when you're looking at an object that looks nice, that makes you feel good when you look at it, is getting lost in the commenting about how great it is. Again, I just invite you to see that you're commenting and just to go back to the raw experience, the raw visual experience. Silently enjoy it. Let the object take center stage. This is a good lesson for everyday life as well. Remember, keep working against habituation. Keep seeing things for the first time. Even if you've run cycles on them already, keep seeing them for the first time. Beginner's mind. Okay, well done. That's 35 minutes. I really encourage you to bring this into daily life. It's an excellent practice for grounding yourself in the senses. Thanks for joining me.